Happy Wednesday, right? We're back at it. Oh my God, it is hot outside, 85 degrees. I'm uncomfortable. Famously, I never have great summer clothes. I'm very good when it comes to the fall and the winter, but when it comes to the summer, it's like all I have are like, button-up shirts and sweaters and, nice jackets. Like fall, winter, I'm perfect, but summertime, it's a struggle. So maybe we need to do some shopping sooner rather than later. But yeah, a friend reached out to me, a niece of hers, 20 years old, you know, with all the opportunity in the world. She's really at a space where she's really lining up on her career and life goals. So she asked me to jump on a call with her, which I did. This girl is also a poet, which was great. And it was an interesting chat. We spoke for an hour, we Zoomed for an hour, and it was great talking poetry. Definitely a topic that I don't talk about a lot, so it was interesting just kind of experiencing some of the questions she had about, like, what's your writing process. The one that really threw me off was like, how do you overcome writer's block? That was a pretty tough question because it's just tough in general. There's no one formula. So just to kind of, it was really refreshing to have such a different type of conversation. Some of you may experience that where you're so used to having one particular or two particular types of conversations. So to have something that's a little bit left was very refreshing. Also getting my mind working in a real creative way. And I later learned right after our phone call that one of the jobs that she was really applying for, she got like within minutes, which I thought was dope. Congratulations to you. So it's so interesting how when you set an intention, things start to kind of fall in place, right? You start to speak to people for advice or counsel. You start to work a little bit more diligent in a particular direction. Things start happening. One of my favorite quotes is, the harder I work, the luckier I get, right? And that got me thinking for today's topic, right, or today's question rather. And I started to think a little bit about like luck, and although I don't think that opportunity is luck, but just how the universe works, and even with that, the different superstitions that we have, right? I remember growing up. One day I was sweeping the floor, right, and my great grandmother was at home. She had some friends over, and I was very young. I was probably like 9 or 10. So I was being a good old boy sweeping the floor. And I remember, and it was my first interaction with any superstition, as I was sweeping, I swept over her feet. And she's from the South Carolina. And I swept over her feet. And as I was going along, she said, "Hey, come back. You swept over my feet. I have to spit on the broom." and even now, I can kind of harken back to it. I was like, huh? You gotta spit on the broom. And I proceeded to hold the broom up, the dusty broom, and she spat on the broom in front of her friends. And no one seemed to think it was weird. And that was my first interaction with anything superstition. And as I continued, to grow up, you hear things like karma, which, arguably is a type of superstition. Right, you do good things will come back to you. There's no science behind it, but it's just a belief. I actually pulled up the definition of superstition according to Webster. I think we all trust Webster. And the definition is a belief or way of behaving that is based on fear of the unknown and faith in magic or luck. A belief that certain events or things will bring good or bad luck, right? Kind of, that sounds a lot like karma. So, we believe in karma. A lot of people talk about the universe kind of in a karmic fashion. So the question of the day is, are you superstitious? I think as you ponder on this question a bit, you'll quickly find the answer maybe yes. All right, I think a lot of us are superstitious, whether we self-identify with it or not. Growing up, that was my earliest interaction with superstition. As I got older, the first time I adopted a superstition it came from my mother, and she was a proponent of the idea that when things are going good, something the devil, as she would say, um, it'll try to take you off your path. It'll try to distract you. And that's probably the one superstition that even at my age today, I've seen time and time again, right? Have you ever experienced that? Like, you decide to make a drastic change in your life, right? In a much better and healthier way, for example. And then people from way back start hitting you up, or just someone you didn't even expect. Something happens. Someone is being used as an instrument. Because I don't blame them, but I do believe they're being used as an instrument to take you off your path. Like, that happens all the time. I've seen that time and time again, right? Sometimes it's someone who you're pretty frequent with in terms of content, but oftentimes, it's someone from way back. And now I'm so used to it, I kind of see it for what it is, and I even laugh sometimes. So that is a superstition. That was the first superstition that I adopted is, when you're doing well or you decide to make a change in your life or do something for the better, the devil or some entity, I don't call it that in my head, but the universe will try to take you off your path, so you got to stay consistent and not get distracted, right? And this can be certain old partners, like I said, anything. Or even sometimes, like you might be, and I'm kind of making this up on the spot, but let's say you said, you know what, I want to start studying more often. I want to focus. I want to get good grades so I can graduate on time, whatever the case may be. And you might be out and kind of organically you meet somebody, like a girl or a guy, right? Now you got to kind of suss that situation out, because that can particularly change how you spend your time and take you off your path, right? So it could be something that, like a kind of a wolf in sheep's clothing, something that on the nose doesn't look negative, right, or detrimental, but on the net it might be. So it's very interesting how that happens. So that was the first superstition that I adopted. The other one that is a little bit more prevalent, and this is an interesting one because this was a superstition that I adopted independently. It didn't come from my family. When I was growing up, I watched a lot of movies on Achilles, Troy, right, as my name goes. And I also saw movies on like Alexander the Great, a lot of Greek related movies, and particularly with Alexander the Great and the movie, and I think I have a book somewhere on him, so I studied it a little bit. The eagle was very symbolic. In many ways, it symbolized Zeus, right? If you know anything about Greek mythology, Zeus would always kind of take shape in different animals and play tricks and do crazy things. Look it up. He's wild. But the eagle is a prominent symbol in Greek culture, particularly ancient Greece. So growing up, I saw a lot of those movies, and in the Alexander movie, it was moments throughout where the eagle was very symbolic of Alexander staying on the course for his glory, right? Like before the big war in Gaugamela, he saw the eagle, and at seeing the eagle, he commenced the war, the battle, right? So there were certain points in the movie where the eagle played a very significant role, and from that, being in New York City, we don't have eagles, I don't think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we do have hawks. So in an interesting way, when I see a hawk outside or in the sky, I see that as a symbol that I'm on the right path, right? And that's unique, like I said, because that's a superstition that no one gave to me, or my mother or someone didn't influence me with. It was something that was uniquely my own in a way that I've adopted and now carry. So I guess in many ways I'm pretty superstitious. I remember even one time I was going out. It's probably like 8 o'clock. I was going for a walk, 8 or 9 o'clock, and I wasn't feeling really good about going outside. Just my intuition told me to stay in, but I was like, it's been a while. I've been cooped up in the house. Let me go for a walk. And I kid you not, I hit the street, and as I'm about to walk into the train station is like a foot away from me to walk down. I see there's two guys kind of in like Pope-like gowns. One was all white, one was all black. They had a giant cross on their chest, like the chain. the papal like hat, and one, like I said, one was all white, one was all black. And then after seeing that and mixed with the feeling I had in my gut, like not to go out, like I said, nope, I went right back home. I wasn't. Nah, I'm good. So, yeah, I guess I am superstitious in many ways. Would love to learn if you're superstitious as well. Particularly also if there's any newer superstitions that you've adopted in your own life, right, that you can call uniquely yours. Maybe superstitions that you might pass on to the next generation. We'd love to hear it. Talk to you soon. Bye.